The Yao women of China have the longest hair in the world. Not like the one individual with the longest hair in the world, it's always changing, but like a group of people with the longest hair in the world. A lot of them have hair that is up to 6 feet long. Now, you know, on this channel, I've done a lot of rice water videos that come from the Yao women, but I just realized out of all the hair growth secrets videos I've made, I've never made one that's specifically the Yao women's hair growth secrets. And today I'm going to be sharing with you all the secrets and how you can apply them to your own hair. These secrets have been passed down through generations, and the village is actually called, the nickname is the long hair village in China. Aside from having 6 foot long hair, they are also known for having healthy hair. Like even the really older women, their hair is not just long, it is full, it is thick, it is dark. They barely go gray, even in really old age. And you can see so many pictures. So let's get into the first hair growth secret from the Yao women. Of course, the first one is going to be the rice water. I'm not going to leave you hanging, okay? Rice water is like the biggest thing that has come out of this village, and I have been using rice water for years. I absolutely love it. The results are amazing. So if you want to know how to make your own rice water, I'm not going to make you watch the other video. I'm just going to insert the recipe on how to make the most powerful rice water right here.
Today we are making the most powerful rice water recipe you have ever seen. We are starting with half a cup of rice, and then this is a full cup. It doesn't matter how much water it is. We are just washing the rice. I didn't want to go to the sink, so I'm just showing you here. As you can tell, this rice is pretty clean, and of course, if you feel your rice is completely clean and you don't want to wash it, you don't need to wash it. And then I pour the leftover back into the same cup, and then I like to use the water that I used to wash the rice to water any plants that are in the house, just because I'm sure there's a little bit of nutrients in that water. So now I'm using this Pyrex dish, and the reason why is because I'm going to be using hot water, not boiling water, but it's going to be hot. So I would advise you use glass or metal. Do not use plastic, but if it's the only thing you have, you can go ahead and use that. So now I'm going to be adding 3 full cups of distilled warm water. This is just boiled in the kettle, and it has been sitting for a while, so it's hot enough to touch you without burning you. So the reason why I put the hot water is because it softens the rice and allows me to get a lot of the nutrients out of the rice without actually boiling it. I usually like to go by the Yao women's recipe, and I do every single thing that they do except for boiling the rice, because I know that different types of nutrients can get denatured once you boil them. So I find that using hot water is just the closest we can get. And now for one of the ingredients that makes it extremely powerful, I'm going to be adding fresh rosemary sprigs. Now, this is just a big rosemary bush that's outside my house, and I'm taking about 7 sprigs of it. Now, you can find rosemary in your local health store or in the spices section or the herb section. You should be able to find it there. But if you don't find it there, you can go ahead and check in the spices section where there's dry spices, and you might find some dry rosemary. You can use 2 to 3 tablespoons of dry rosemary. And if you don't have any rosemary, don't worry. We'll get back into how you can incorporate it later on in the video. But I just let that sit now for a couple minutes. And while I do that, I am using a grapefruit. Now, the Yao women use a pomelo fruit. I have actually never seen a pomelo fruit in real life. So if you have access to them and you can find them, use that. If not, the second best thing is a grapefruit. And if you don't have a grapefruit, which can also be quite expensive, the third best option is an orange. So you can use an orange, but you're only going to use the peels. And I suggest you don't use the essential oil, because I just find that it's not beneficial for my hair. And this also truly helps with the smell. If you've ever made rice water without and with, you would know the difference I'm talking about. It just makes it feel like a little more silky, you know? So now I'm going to take those same rosemary sprigs that have been sitting in the water, and I'm pouring them into a glass jar. Again, you can use whatever container that you have access to, but the best option is a glass jar. And be more careful than me and don't spill the water all over. It should close completely airtight. If it's not airtight, your rice water is going to go bad and you'll be wondering what you did wrong. It's because the air is going in. So there, what you saw me doing is making sure that I push all the rosemary down, because if there's any rosemary that's exposed to the air, it can also mold. So any little bits that seem to be like right at the surface, I am completely covering them with the grapefruit peels with no inside completely. And look how nice and fancy and bougie that looks. But also, so now what I do is I put it in the cupboard for 24 hours to ferment for a little bit and for the rice to expand and release all its beautiful antioxidants. And as you can see, you can tell it's been like a little fermented because it's got like a little bubbles. When you shake it, you can see that's like the fermentation happening. So no, the rice water is not done. And I suggest that you do this on your wash day, meaning after you've already done whatever you usually do this on your wash day so you're not tempted to use it. And then you can go ahead and use it on your next wash day because this is not a 24-hour process. What I'm doing right now is taking out the grapefruit peels and the rosemary sprigs, but I am not throwing them away. Right now, what I'm doing is getting all the nutrients out of the rice. So now I'm pouring it back into the same container that we used before, because now we are getting to one of the most important parts to make sure you have extremely effective rice water. Now, a lot of people at this stage would prefer to boil it to make you get all the white color, and make it look super starchy like milk. But for me, I just like to knead the rice either in one hand or rub it between my palms. I find that it is way faster if I just rub it between both of my palms. And what this is doing is causing friction between the rice, breaking the rice into smaller pieces. And while this is happening, you are releasing all the antioxidants and the starches, which is what makes it look more white. But that's how you get more nutrients. You don't have to blend this up and make like a rice conditioner, because even if the grains of rice are already blended and it's like a conditioner consistency, it still can't absorb into your hair because the particles are just going to be too big. So it's actually pretty much a waste of time. So now it's time to pour it back into the same glass jar, which I washed, as you can see. And now I'm using a strainer, and then I'm just mixing it up perfectly to make sure that the particles are evenly distributed in the rice water before I pour it down the funnel and also into the strainer to make sure it catches all the little bits of rice that are in there. Because now that we've kneaded the rice, we have got all the nutrients out of the rice that we need. We do not need that anymore. If you want to cook it, you can cook it. I would not advise it because I think it would taste bad. But if you want to make use out of it, if you have any plants, it's like a natural fertilizer. You can just put the rice in the soil, and that's going to make sure that you make use out of the rice that you have. So now that it's done, as you can see, even with this wooden spoon, I'm using the end of it. When I mix it into the rice water, you cannot see the stem unless I put it towards the glass. So that's how you know that you have perfect rice water. So now we are putting back the rosemary and the grapefruit peels back into the rice water to continue fermenting. We don't need the rice anymore, but we still need to get the benefits out of this, including the absorbing of the smell and releasing of all the amazing benefits of rosemary. I have tons of videos on rosemary, so you can check that out. So now it has been fermenting for 5 days, and this is what it looks like. Everything sort of settles to the bottom, so once you shake it up, you'll be able to actually see that the rice water is still all nice and milky. And this is the point when it's ready to use. I like to cap it at 5 days to remove everything out. And then if I want to continue fermenting it, I would just leave it to ferment without putting back any more rosemary or anything like that. So now you can see it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look moldy, even up close to the camera. It just looks like maybe it changed a little bit of color because it has been sitting in water for 5 days. So once I take all that out, I am now going to decant what I'm going to use and show you how to use into a spray bottle. So now I'm using a strainer again, just in case I didn't catch any grain of rice or like rosemary sprig in there, because we don't want any of that getting in our hair. Now you can do this in a dish, you can put it in a bowl and just pour it over your hair, but I prefer to use it in a spray bottle because I have perfect access to the scalp, and I only fill my bottle up about 3/4 ways, and then I put in distilled water to finish it up, because it is extremely potent after the fermentation process. And now I'm adding my essential oils. So first I'm adding my tea tree oil. By the way, you might be wondering why I'm not putting the oils in the big jar. It's because sometimes I might forget to use the big jar and just abandon it. So I make sure I focus the essential oils only in the spray bottle that I'm currently using, because essential oils are extremely expensive and I don't want to waste them. So while I was talking, I added 10 drops of peppermint oil and about 8 drops of rosemary oil in addition to the tea tree oil that I added at the beginning. I shake that up and it is ready to use. Now it is time to put the rest in the fridge, and that's going to stop the fermentation process. So if you want to continue fermenting it, sometimes I do this for 2 more weeks.
So as you saw, every single family of the Yao women, they have like their basic recipe, but then every family has their own thing that they do to make it like catered to them, their own special thing. So that's how I did mine. So let's get into the next thing that can help you, because it is honestly not just the rice water. There's other things that they do. So scalp massages. The way they do traditional scalp massages is not like your regular scalp massage. They like to use wooden combs, and I am yet to get one, but you can still get the same effect even if you do a scalp massage with your hands, which really enriches your follicles and helps your hair grow faster, fuller, thicker, and also can wake up dormant follicles that are on your scalp. If you want to know how to do a full scalp massage just with your hands, I will insert my scalp massage tutorial video at the end of this one. So now let's talk about trims. The Yao women actually do not trim their hair. They just get one major cut one time in their lives. So around the age of 18, this girl would have grown her hair without cutting it until she's 18. And when she turns 18, she'll usually cut her hair, usually like about bob length. It's not bald, it's about bob length. And then after that, they will never cut their hair again. And sometimes, a lot of the time, the hair that they cut, they actually keep it and they wrap it up with the rest of their hair, like a styling choice, I guess. And they just believe in the hair's vitality, like just keeping their hair together. And so since then, after they do that blunt cut, if they had any damage, anything, it would be gone by then, okay? And then from then on, they grow their hair. So they're not losing any length from trims. Now you might be wondering, well, what about split ends? Well, this is where the next tip comes in. This is protective styling. The way they keep their hair is extremely low manipulation. They brush their hair gently with combs. Their hair is also straight, so it doesn't usually get tangled. And then the way they keep it is it's just like in a large braid. It's wrapped up. It is covered all the time. So there's basically no opportunity for them to get any split ends or damage. So there's really no need to cut them off. Because they also wrap their hair in cloth, basically different styles of a head wrap, their hair is also away from the elements. It doesn't get any damage from the sun. There's no dust and other particles going on their hair because their hair is always covered. And now let's get into how they wash their hair. They also use extremely gentle ingredients. All their products are basically homemade, so they've got no chemicals, no sulfates. They use water that is coming straight from the river. They don't even have chlorine in their water. It is like the cleanest thing you can find. And because their hair is also always covered, it's not like they have really dust all over their scalp. So they make their own shampoos using the same types of rice. Basically, it's just different variations of a rice water rinse. So their hair has no harsh chemicals, which also makes it a lot less susceptible to damage. And now for their diet. Their diet is extremely rich in minerals. They don't eat as much protein as you think, but their food is extremely fresh. They eat a lot of red rice, which has a higher protein. It has more minerals in it. They also eat white rice. They eat a lot of vegetables, and everything is usually fresh grown, and usually they grow it themselves. So that is also like movement that they get in. And this truly supports hair growth from within. Because if you're doing everything on the outside, but your diet is terrible, your hair is still going to suffer. It still will not do well at all. And then here's another treatment that I haven't really heard about until I started researching this video. So if you want me to make a separate video on this and try this out, I absolutely will. But they actually do ginger root rinses. Now this is not like a new invention. I know other people do ginger root rinses, or they include ginger in their hair growth routines, but I've never heard of a specific recipe from the Yao women. So I am very intrigued. Let me know. Comment ginger in the comments below if you want me to make this. They create different infusions by basically steeping it in water. Some even add it to the rice water, which is an option, but they just steep it in water, kind of like a tea. So obviously the water is hot, and then when it cools down, they spray it on their scalps and all over their hair in the exact same way that they would use rice water. It's known to increase blood circulation to the hair follicles, and it also contains natural compounds that will just strengthen the hair. And now let's get into how you can apply these tips to you. Because if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're not watching this from a small village that has a perfect stream that runs through with clear water that you don't need to add any chlorine to, and you're in a very stress-free environment, and your hair is always covered and never exposed to the elements. If you're living in modern times, like most people, including some of the younger Yao women these days, you most likely are exposed to chemicals. You're exposed to not the freshest food. You have access to lots of fast food. You have access to a lot of stress. Your water has a lot of ingredients in it. Here's how you can actually apply these things to you in a way that will actually work. The first thing you can do is make your own rice water, like the demo that I showed, which is extremely easy to do. You can just make it whenever you want. And for a DIY product, it actually has a pretty long shelf life because of the fermenting process. But another thing you can do is just buy products that are already infused with rice water, because if you're lazy, you're tired, you just don't want to do it, or you always forget to do it, buying products that already have these ingredients incorporated into them somehow will be an easy way for them to add, for you to add it to your routine. So I know As I Am has like some kind of rice water rinse. Sacred has a rice water rinse. Even Briogeo have a lot of products that infuse rice water. But my current favorite, this is not sponsored, but they did gift this to me like a while ago, and this is Viore. And all their products incorporate rice water. This is the set I'm using right now. But also every single product that I've mentioned, I will link. I think almost all this is available on Amazon. Wherever I can find it, I'll link in the description box below. Anyway, I was extremely skeptical about this because when I see bar, I think bath soap. And no matter what you tell me, my brain still says, this is bath soap and it's gonna dry out your hair like washing your face with regular soap. But oh my God, I am amazed. This stuff, I think I'm hooked. It is amazing. It smells good. It works great. But the reason why I'm mentioning this specific brand for this video is because Viore actually partners with the Yao women from China. All their rice and their rice water ingredients that they get are literally from the Yao women in China. They work with the villagers to source the rice water. And according to them, there's only 300 tribe members remaining. If you have been looking to try rice water, but you feel like you always forget to try it, you're too lazy to make it, and you just want to try something that's as natural as you can get, but with a long shelf life so you don't have to keep making new batches, try Viore and let me know what you think. And now for the food. You're most likely not foraging your own food and eating like whole organic everything. I would just say try to eat as balanced as you can. Eat the rainbow, eat as many different colored foods as you can that are natural, eat lots of vegetables, eat a balanced diet with protein, all the micronutrients that you can get, which is where the eating the rainbow comes in. And you start to know differences in your hair because like I said, if everything's not going well internally, no matter what you put on top of your hair will just not look great. When it comes to the trimming part, if you want to trim your hair less, I would suggest that the next time you trim your hair, trim slightly above. And when I say slightly, I mean an inch or two above where your split ends are. So usually when we comb our hair down, we see like the little bit of split ends and you're like, okay, I'm just going to cut right by the split ends. The problem is there's probably some split ends further up that you can't really see. So if you just do like a blunt cut and try and cut above where its split ends are, you'll be able to go a much longer time without trimming your hair. And that goes along with not having a trimming schedule. Don't trim your hair every 6 weeks to 8 weeks or, every 3 months. Trim your hair when you have split ends. If you happen to get split ends for some reason after like 6 weeks or 3 weeks, you're probably doing something wrong, but the ends are split. There's nothing you can do. You're probably going to have to get rid of them. But if it's been 6 months and you have no split ends, do not trim your hair. You don't have any split ends to cut. And that's how you're going to retain so much more length. So if you want to know how to do a detailed scalp massage, watch this video right here. And if you'd like to see my video on my favorite protective styles, because that is another thing that the Yao women do, protective styles will really help you grow your hair. Watch this video right here. Hit my face right there to subscribe if you didn't in the beginning. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!